There we go. That's better. I don't know why my camera goes widescreen when I come live, and then it it doesn't let me adjust until I'm actually live. So I think that this is going to be a pretty good place. Always adjusting those lights because they're bright. You have to have bright lights, otherwise you guys can't see. So I apologize for the glare in the beginning there. But hello, how is everybody doing today? I'm, as always, pulling up this video on my computer so that if you have questions, go ahead and ask. We can interact together. My goodness, I'm hoping that it's not super duper loud outside today. Everybody's doing their yard work today. It's the middle of September, and somehow it is still 90 degrees where I live in northeastern Pennsylvania, and it's gross. I am more than ready for fall. And as you can see, we're creating a holiday card, and I am more than ready for the holidays as well. So we're going to be doing some fun techniques today, a new technique to me, and one that I absolutely love. It is Hoop It Up Week on the ThermOWeb blog. So all this week, the fabric team and the paper team, we're all showing you different ways to use embroidery hoops on your projects. I'm a paper crafter. I am not good with fabric. I used to cross stitch when I was maybe 8 or 9 years old. I don't think I could do it now if I tried. The little holes in the fabric are too small for me, but I can certainly take an embroidery hoop die and put it on a card. So today we're going to be sharing in the ThermOWeb Hoop It Up Week theme, and we're also going to be incorporating some Laura Kelly products. So I have, excuse me, my throat is so very dry today. I have some Laura Kelly products that we're going to be working in, as well as some waffle flower products on my card. So this background here is the Laura Kelly Sprinkles Stripes toner sheet. And I used the wagon red foil. I'm trying to catch that light there. The wagon red foil over that, and I thought it looked like a candy cane background. So you can do whatever color foils you want on this background to completely customize, but I went that wagon red route. And you're gonna see I have spatters in my background, and those spatters are foiled. This is a technique that my friend and fellow design team member Larissa shared on the ThermOWeb blog. It's probably been maybe a week and a half. She created a card with that new Gina K Designs The Fall Gnomes add-on set, and she did this fun technique that I'm going to share today of how to use the Deco Foil adhesive pen and flick some of that adhesive onto your background and create spatters. Whenever I create a background, it seems like I'm always adding spatters because it's a great way to cover up a mistake if you've made while ink blending or coloring. Whatever mistake you've made, if you throw some spatters on there, nobody's going to know because that smudge is going to get covered up and it'll blend right in. And so when I saw that Larissa had added foil to spatters, I fell in love. Absolutely love it. So we're going to be doing that today, and then we're going to be foiling on toner sheets. We're going to be die cutting some foil, and we're going to be die cutting, I don't know if you can tell on this camera, but this is flock. So lots of fun techniques we're going to put into this simple little card. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to start with my background. Because this adhesive is going to take a little bit to dry, I figured if we start with that and move on from there, that'll be dry by the time we're all done. So let me put some of these things to the side. Put that up in the corner there. I'm going to start with that the Sprinkle Stripes toner sheet. And I'm not doing anything, I didn't realize this light is so glary, so I'll try to move that and see if that works. That's a little bit better. I'm not going to be doing any ink blending or anything because I did want to keep this background white. I wanted to keep this looking like a candy cane, but I need to grab a clean cloth because my other cloth has ink all over it. Whenever I do foiling, if I'm doing coloring, I do that first. Generally, you don't have to. You can foil first, but I like to add my color first. But if you're going to be foiling a toner sheet, grab a microfiber cloth. This is what I would use to clean my stamps with. You do want it to be something that's lint-free. So I've heard people use a Swiffer cloth. I like to just use a microfiber cloth because I have a whole bunch of them in my desk drawer as I use that to clean my desk or to clean my stamps. You wouldn't want to use a tissue or a paper towel because that's going to leave little bits behind. And the purpose of wiping off your toner sheet before you do some foiling is just to get anything left behind off your cardstock. So anything that's left behind in the manufacturing process, any dust particles, like we all have dust particles in the air and they fall on things. So anything that may be on your toner sheet, you want to wipe that off to make sure that that surface is nice and clean. That's going to help you get a better foil result. Now I have this Wagon Red Laura Kelly foil transfer sheet. Oh my goodness, I can't spit it out today. It's gorgeous. Love this pretty red color. And this is just larger than this toner sheet, which I think is fabulous. Now we're going to be cutting this down to an A2 sized card, so you don't have to foil this whole thing, but I figured why not, because then I'm going to have a little strip that I can use on another card as an accent piece. I'm using Deco Foil parchment paper as my carrier sheet today, and I do want to mention that I have my laminator. It is already on. I turned it on about probably 10 or 15 minutes before I came on video today. So the ready light has already been on for about 10 minutes. Well, probably 15. You want to make sure your laminator is good and hot when you're doing foiling. Now I'm going to just put this into my Deco Foil parchment paper carrier sheet. The parchment paper comes in very large sheets. I like to cut mine down just for ease of use, and I find that my laminator likes to eat things. So if I put something large through there, it likes to eat it and crinkle it, so I cut it down, and that just helps me to save on the crinkling. I'm going to put this through my laminator, making sure that this is smooth, flat. This is another thing that's going to help you get a really good foil, making sure that that is perfectly smooth. I'm going to run that through my laminator. And I say on here, whenever I'm foiling, you got to get to know your laminator and you have to get to know its personality. For instance, my laminator doesn't like to foil if I run through the middle of my laminator. My laminator is probably yay wide, and so I either run it through the right side or through the left side. In fact, I started this time running it through the right side, and what I'm going to do is once that comes out, I'm going to take it and I'm going to flip it and actually run it through the left side. I just like to foil things twice. Once you peel that foil back, it's hard to get it back in the same exact spot, so I run it through twice just in case my laminator maybe doesn't have enough pressure in one spot. So here it came out the one side, so I'm keeping everything inside that parchment paper and just flipping it upside down and then running it through that other side. I realized I have sound still left. I thought I had turned the sound off of all of my devices, but I did not. So let's turn that down because otherwise that's going to be a big distraction, at least for me. Random noises and I'm like, what was that? So this is coming through. This is always the hardest part of foiling, is the waiting game. Just waiting, and I swear my laminator is slower than others. I know it's probably not, but here we go. It's almost done. I thought it was. There we go. Okay, here we go. I'm going to give this just a minute because that is quite hot. So let that cool down. And then I'm just going to slowly peel this back. So I'm noticing on my foil, and you can tell I crinkled a little bit on this side. That's okay. We'll cut the cardstock down on this side here, so you won't even see that mistake. But here, I'm going to hold this up close so you can see that Wagon Red. There we go. Now the light's catching it, that Wagon Red foil on that background. It's so pretty. It looks just like a candy cane. So I'm going to, let's get this out of the way because now we're going to do that fun flicking technique. This is the Deco Foil adhesive pen, and it has like a little bullet nib. So I actually use this a lot to fix my foiling. So let's say for some odd reason I had a whole stripe that didn't foil. I would take this Decofoil adhesive pen, run that over, let that dry, and then run that through my die cutting machine, and it's gonna fix my mistakes. So if you ever have, like, say, a little dot of something that doesn't foil properly, this is a great fix-it tool. I'm gonna give this a quick shake. And again, this is a technique that Larissa, a fellow design team member, did. So I'm taking the nib and I'm just pressing that down onto my work surface. And you can see I'm getting piles, little puddles of this Decofoil adhesive. You probably don't need a lot. In fact, I'm going to start there. I like a lot of spatters. I know that things look very nice with just a little bit, but I like to go wild. I'm taking a paintbrush. This is just an inexpensive paintbrush, one that I use for kind of mixed media techniques if I'm ever doing glue or anything. You don't want to use a nice fancy paintbrush because this is an adhesive, so this is a glue, and you do want to make sure that you clean this off afterwards. Now I'm just going to spatter just like I would if I was doing watercolor. So I'm holding the paintbrush and I'm just tapping. You can do this off of an acrylic block if you want to, but I find that just scooping, so I'm kind of scooping that adhesive up and then flicking on. I'm going to hold this up. I know you might not be able to see because this is a clear adhesive. I'm going to get a little bit more because I feel like my left side is wanting for more. So I'll pump some of that out. And then again, scoop and flick. Scoop and flick. All right, let's hold this up. I'm going to hold this up to the camera. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it or not. Oh, you can kind of see. See how there's those flicks of that adhesive on there? It's hard to see now because it's a clear adhesive, but the magic of this technique will be in about probably 15 minutes. We'll do the rest of the card and then we'll show the magic. So I'm going to set this aside, turn off my laminator because I burned my elbows on my laminator. I like hit my elbow to the side and I burned my elbow on my laminator the other day. That's no good. I'm going to just clean off my work surface real quick. If you don't let this dry on here, it'll wipe right up with a baby wipe. And I did not bring a bubble bath for my paintbrush, and I don't want to run off because I don't have a bathroom super like right in this craft room. So I'm just going to give this a quick spritz of water just to get any excess adhesive off of here, and then I will give that a good bath after this tutorial. I need to put that, I'll put that there. I'll put that in a place where I'll remember to wash to that guy. Okay, so now let's pull this card back in so you can see where we're going. Let's start working on this fun little hoop. I have some waffle flower products that I'm going to be using. I have the embroidery hoops dies, and these are just a trio of little circle embroidery hoops. And I mentioned in the very beginning of the video that I don't stitch. I've had problems with my eyes in the last year. I've had surgery on both of them. And so I don't think I could see to stitch to save my life. So I purchased this waffle flower oh my goodness, doily circle die because I thought that this center pattern could mimic a stitch technique. So I thought, why not go that route? So we're going to add some foil to this doily circle die, and just to make some fun, we're going to die cut flock with this embroidery hoop die. So I'm taking that largest die. You can use any of them, but I liked this largest one, and I am going to be die cutting emerald green flock. I'm going traditional Christmas colors with this card, but I think it would be really fun to use pink and purple, and there's flock in both pink and purple, or pink and blue, you know, whatever you want to use, and create a non-traditional Christmas card. I wonder if I have, I like to use my scraps, but I think that scrap is going to be just a tiny bit too small. So we'll go with this full sheet here. And I'm just going to cut a piece just larger than the die. So just as if you were cutting cardstock, you can cut flock, which is so fun because it adds just an extra bit of texture, which is often hard to capture on camera or in videos. But in real life, when you send this card, it's really a nice little thing. So here's my die cutting machine. Going to die cut this emerald green flock with this embroidery hoop die. Again, just like you would cut cardstock. You can see how easily that cuts. And I'll keep this circle piece because you can always use circles. And there's my little hoop-de-hoop. It's such a cute little guy. All right, let's get this cutting machine out of the way. And then I'll show you how to die cut some foil. So for this, you're gonna need your foil. Again, I'm going to use the Wagon Red foil from Laura Kelly, just so to match my background. But you could mix it up if you want. I need to transfer this foil because it's foil, it's super thin. So we need to transfer this to some cardstock. So I have just a piece of white scrap cardstock. And my favorite way to transfer foil, unless I'm doing like stripes, in that case I like to use the iCraft Easy Tear adhesive, but I love this Easy Cut. These are little sheets. They're about 6 by 6 inches and they're double-sided and sticky. So I'm going to go ahead and add this. I'm going to get this foil out of the way because knowing me, if you know me, I'm accident prone. If you've been here on my lives, you may know this. I'm going to go ahead and just peel this back a little bit and add that Easy Cut adhesive onto a piece of white cardstock. The cardstock color truly doesn't matter, but the only kind of scrap cardstock that I really keep around is white, so that's why I have that. I'm going to trim off this excess. And I always keep this because I can use those strips for other things. Let me grab, I have adhesive sticking off the edge and I don't want that to stick to my die cutting machine because this is super adhesive, super strong adhesive. So I'm going to cut that off. This edge over here is just a leading edge. That makes it easier for me to peel off my adhesive, so that doesn't need to go anywhere. I'm going to take this and peel. I forgot to press it down. It helps if you press it down. I like to grab a bone folder and really press that on. Then I'm going to grab that leading edge and peel that back. And I'm going to transfer the Wagon Red foil. So to transfer foil, you want the back side of the foil to touch your medium. So when I foiled the toner sheet, pretty side up, back side against the toner, we're going to do that same thing. You want the back side of the foil against the adhesive. So the adhesive is here. But I find it easier if I'm transferring foil onto something sticky. I like to lay my foil down. My fan is on because, like I said, it's 90 degrees here. So I'm going to hold that there for a second. But I'm going to peel this back. And I like to put my adhesive onto my foil. Because my cardstock is a bit thicker and stronger than my foil, and my foil likes to kind of bend. You can see it bending. So I like to go like this and kind of go start at one edge and then roll that cardstock down onto the foil. This helps eliminate bubbles. And then I can grab my scissors and trim away this excess piece because I will keep this excess strip, and even though it's just a little strip, this is great for adding little details onto your cards. So I'm going to stick that over here so that doesn't blow away. And so now I have this piece of foil ready to be transferred onto my card, or onto my die cut rather. But this piece, the foil needs to actually pull back, and you don't want to scratch it, so I don't want to use a bone folder to my goodness, why can't I to press it on here? So you can use your fingers, but I find that when I do that, I miss little spots. So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use my handy dandy die cutting machine, and I'm just gonna press this foil onto that piece of cardstock. So I'll run this through and use the pressure from my die cutting machine. And you're gonna see that now when I peel this back, look at how perfect that is. I have a piece of shiny foiled cardstock, and the whole thing, I missed a little spot over here, but that's probably from a bubble that I had. That's okay, because we're gonna die cut it anyway. But check that out, super pretty. And now I have a piece of foiled cardstock. I'm gonna grab that, let's see if I can say it correctly, doily circle die from Waffle Flower. And I'm going to avoid that area where I made that mistake. And we're just going to die cut this. And since that foil is already adhered onto that cardstock, using that Easy Cut adhesive, we're going to be able to create a die cut foiled piece. Let me get this out of the way, and let me find my little craft pick here. We're going to need to poke out some little holes, I think. Let's poke this out. You still want to be gentle with it because it is just cardstock. And I'm just going to pull this off super gently. It looks like the majority of my pieces are staying in my die, which for this purpose is absolutely fine because that's less that I have to poke out on camera. What I should have done was cut this out ahead of time, but I didn't think to do that because I wanted to show you the die cutting. The pieces will still, I mean, you can see they pop right out. That's why I love that Easy Cut adhesive. It truly is easy to cut, and I wonder, I probably don't even have to do all the pieces, just the middle. So let's go ahead and just start in the middle and pop out what we need. Have to be careful not to poke yourself. So many dangers in the crafty world that you don't think of. Hot laminators, pokey tools. We'll get a lesson in safety today too. Be careful with your pokey tools. Turn off your laminator when finished using them so you don't burn your elbows. This is definitely the most tedious thing ever, and I think it's made worse because I'm live and because I know people are watching me just painstakingly poke this out. But I hope you can see at least how pretty this is. Like I love doing different things with foiling, from actually like using a laminator to foil, but there's so many things that you can do with foil that don't involve a laminator. While I'm poking this out, I should mention that if you're not part of the ThermOWeb Craft Room on Facebook, that's our new Facebook group. It's been around a couple months. We just hit right over 1,000 members. So there's lots of inspiration there. You can feel free to ask questions there. One of the questions that comes up a lot of times are foiling questions. And so we're more than happy to answer your questions there. And you'll get lots of ideas for foiling with a laminator or without a laminator, because I know a lot of people don't own one. In fact, I'm a new owner to a laminator. I didn't have one before I started with ThermOWeb. I had never really done much foiling, but I love it now. I don't think I could live without it. My eyes are playing tricksies on me today. I think it's all the pretty foil. I hope the camera's doing okay. Sometimes when things are shiny, the camera, it's like me. It's like, oh, shiny, focus on this. Okay, I don't think I need to go out very much further. I think I just need to go, this part will show. So I need to poke out these, but we won't do the whole outside edge because we're going to be trimming that off anyway. Get out. Sorry guys, usually I prep things like this ahead of time, and I just didn't think of it because I wanted you to see the whole process, and I absolutely should have created a separate one off camera before this, but I didn't think of it because I thought it would be such a fun thing to show. And I thought wrong. Does all of this, I'm trying to look at my sample and see, does all of this show? And I think I go pretty much right out to that outside edge. But the good thing is, it is easy to pop out. It's just sticky because the foil wants to stick to the foil. So when I poke it out, it's still kind of grabbing just a tiny bit, but they do, you can see they release super easily. Just got to get them. It's like, I guess it's like any die cut really. You just have to get it away from itself. I think I've gotten them all. Yes, I do believe. There we go. Super shiny, super pretty. Love it. Put the lid on my pokey tool before I poke myself. I'm gonna put all these tiny little pieces into the garbage. I'll set this aside and I will clean that out later. But these can go into the garbage. Alrighty, so let's finish up creating this hoop. I have just a piece of green cardstock here. Any color cardstock, it doesn't truly matter. This was just a color that I was drawn to. I'm going to use my iCraft Ultra Bond liquid adhesive pen and glue this down. I like this new pen form because I can give it kind of just tiny little squeezes and create tiny little dots, or even like go around in a circle like I am now. And again, tiny little line. This is my go-to adhesive. Absolutely loved it. And I love that now it's in a pen form. The pen form is relatively new. I think it's just been out a couple of months now. It seems like longer. It seems like I've been using it for forever, but it's pretty new. I'm just going to go and add some random little dots and then stick this onto this green piece of cardstock here. Give that a good press from the back, and there we go. So now you can see, for a second I thought I lost my hoop-de-hoop, but it's here. This is going to go right on top here. And it fits almost perfectly. I'm going to have one little spot where this inner line of red doesn't quite line up with the hoop, but in the end I really don't think anybody's going to be looking that closely that they're going to know that it doesn't perfectly line up. I'm going to grab scissors and how do I want to do this? I'm going to go right up to this edge because I'm pretty sure that's where I went on my sample. And on my sample, I glued that hoop on first and then tried to stick my scissors underneath. But I think it's going to be easier to cut without that hoop on because I had to be super careful not to cut my hoop. Don't want to ruin that. So I'm just trimming this out. And again, I picked this die simply because it looked like something that, like an embroidery pattern to me. But you could put anything inside this hoop. If you wanted to do a cute little snowflake would be really, really pretty. So I'm going to grab this hoop here using my Ultra Bond adhesive pen again, because you can see this is a super thin hoop. So I'm going to be able to get a thin line of adhesive going all the way around. And you can do dots too. I kind of alternate. There is no rhyme or reason to the way I adhere. Sometimes it's a line, sometimes it's a dot. You're never going to know. And I'm going to add this on right over this pretty foiled piece. And again, like I said, It lines up almost perfectly. I'm going to give that a press from the back. There we go. Isn't that super duper pretty? All right, let's check on our background. Let's see how that's doing. You want this to be absolutely dry, and I think it is. So it's a glue, so it's still going to be kind of tacky, but it shouldn't be smudgy. So it's dry, it's clear. I'm going to grab a piece of gold deco foil. You can use whatever color you want, but I am a big fan of gold, and I think I have a piece that's pretty much perfect for this project. You can see I keep all of my gold scraps because I will use them for everything. The first thing that I ever used foil for, and it's still one of my favorites, I actually did it the other day, is with alcohol inks. That was when I first used foil. Was, you know, when you use alcohol inks and your cardstock is still kind of wet left behind, and so it's kind of tacky, you can add little bits of foil on. So I love Gold Flex, and I was so excited when I saw this adhesive pen trick. So I'm going to put this, you want your adhesive, your medium, to be on the back side of the foil. So again, I like to put my foil down onto my work surface and then place this over the top so that I can kind of roll it in and try to reduce bubbles. Larissa mentioned that you can use your fingers to kind of rub over this. Again, don't use your nails, don't use a bone folder because you'll scratch the foil. But what I like to do, just to make sure that I don't miss any spots, I'm going to grab my die cutting machine. And we're just going to, again, run this through just like we've been doing to transfer foil. And grab that out of there. And let's peel to reveal. Okay, so Allison, really quick, to get to this point, I used my deco foil adhesive pen, smushed some of that adhesive on, and then used it onto my work surface, which is glass, so it's a slick surface. Then I used a paintbrush to flick this adhesive pen onto the background. And here is the grand reveal. Look at it. Isn't it so pretty? I love it. Let's hold this up here. So you can see now that we have spatter in the background. That is foiled. And I love spatter in the background of cards. Traditionally, or usually, I guess I should say, that I use like watercolor. But now that I have this foiling trick from Larissa, it's amazing, and I'm so happy. Allison, you can find the deco foil adhesive pen on the ThermOWeb website. As soon as this video is over, which we're almost done, I go back into the video description and I add links to all the products that I used in today's tutorial. But if you go onto the ThermOWeb website and you search for deco foil adhesive pen, this little guy will pop right up. So let's finish this off. I'm going to grab my paper trimmer and just trim this down. So I've noticed that when I flicked, I have a much heavier concentration over here than I do over here. So I need to kind of decide which style I want to go with. And I'm going to cut off this side only because I have a little patch down here on my Laura Kelly Sprinkle Stripes toner sheet that didn't quite transfer as well as I would have liked it to. So I'm going to chop that part off. And we're going to be going with the heavily spattered side. Let's cut this down a little bit. I want this to be 5 1/2 and it's about 5 3/4. So I'm going to trim that down a little bit. These little pieces I'll throw away. This piece I absolutely won't because I can cut like a little strip and I can put this on the inside of my card for an accent. I don't often decorate the inside of my card, but I can if I want to. Let's stick that away. And I'm going to grab some foam adhesive. I'm going to use the big old, I craft 3D foam tape. These are jumbo rolls, and I'm going to be using both thicknesses. Because this card is such a simple card, I'm going to really pop up this embroidery hoop onto the front. Let's see. Norma is asking, would the transfer gel duo work? So the transfer gel duo works in the same way as this adhesive pen, almost, where you would you can use your die cutting machine to transfer the foil. I'm not sure how you would spatter onto the card though. This is liquid, so I know you can't probably hear it shaking, but it's a liquid adhesive in here. Goodness, I'm so sorry. It's motorcycle season. So this is like an actual liquid in here, whereas the duo gel is it's a gel. So you wouldn't be able to spatter the gel on. You could try adding a bit of water to the duo gel and flicking that on, but I have not tried that, so I cannot guarantee that that will work or not work. But I am all for experimenting in your craft room, and if you have duo gel, maybe try adding a spritz of water and trying that. So, like I said, we're going to be using the white foam tape today. These rolls also come in black, which is super handy because Halloween time is coming up. Well, it's practically here. And so that's awfully handy for your darker colored cards. But since this is a light background, I'm going to go with this white tape. And this happens to be the 1/8 of an inch thick. So this is like double thick foam tape. This is what I like to use for shaker cards, because then your shakers are really going to move and you don't have to worry about doubling up your foam tape. This thick foam tape is wonderful. Oh, Larissa. Hello, I'm so happy you're here, because I've been saying this is Larissa's technique. That's a great idea to, if you have a spatter stencil, if you have like a little snowflake style stencil, like one with little dots, or a spatter pattern, and you put the duo gel right over the top and then run the foil through your die cutting machine with that, that's a great idea. I'm going to put this right at the top here, top center-ish. And I hope you can see this is like, it's super thick because it's that 1/8 of an inch. So there's a lot of dimension here. Like I said, this is a simple card. All the focus is on all the foil and the flock here. So I wanted to kind of pop that up and give that a lot of dimension. Now I'm going to bring in the 1/16 of an inch, because this is what I like to use to pop up my sentiments. It's a little bit thinner, thickness wise, and so it doesn't add a lot of bulk. For my sentiments, I used the waffle flower. Oh man, now I can't read this is the Label Maker Holiday Sentiments stamp set. So this is one of those stamps where it's meant to mimic one of those labels, or a label maker. So it's one stamp and it stamps a bunch of sentiments. And then I also purchased the die that cuts them all out. And you can see I have all these strips in the background here. On my sample card, I used black, but as I was prepping for this card, I thought, well, wouldn't it be cute in red? So we're going to go with red today, and because I thought that was super duper cute. So let me grab, this is the 1/16 inch thick tape, and I'm going to grab my nonstick scissors, and I'm just going to cut down some pieces of this foam tape. If I cut this right in half, I think that'll be a good, I'm pretty sure that's what I did. It is. It's going to fit right on these little sentiment strips here. Again, both the 1/8 and the 1/16 inch jumbo foam tape rolls, they both come in black too. The release tape is super easy to remove, which is always amazing. And now I'm just going to pop these sentiment strips right into the center-ish of my hoop. Make sure the sentiment is right side up, because we don't need to talk about how many times it's been upside down in my life. And these are the cards. Hope you loved this. There's so many different foiling techniques that we did today. So let's hold up to the camera because that's always the best part. So this is the one that we did on camera today. I hope that you love all these techniques. We did foiling in the background on that toner sheet, and then we used the Deco Foil adhesive pen. Thank you so much, Larissa, for sharing this fun technique because I'm obsessed. I love it. Check out all those gold spatters. They're so fun. And then we used that same Wagon Red Laura Kelly foil that I used on the toner sheet. I used here for some extra shine. And then, of course, we have the flock on the hoop. So I hope that you guys picked up some tips and tricks. I hope that you'll try this amazing foil spattering technique. Thanks so much to Larissa for sharing this technique in the first place and for letting me share this live today. I hope that you all enjoyed. Again, if you're not a member of our ThermOWeb Craft Room Facebook group, you definitely want to join. Just go to Facebook, and if you search ThermOWeb Craft Room, it'll pop right up. Just answer the couple little screening questions. We're usually really good about getting you right in so that you can be inspired by all the beautiful projects that are shown there. Once this video is over, I will go in, I will add links to all the products I used on the cards today so that you guys can have easy and happy shopping at the ThermOWeb website. So thank you guys so much. I will be back again soon with another live video, and I'll see you then. Bye.